Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. It's G here. And everybody has been talking about the Cam Newton interview with Dr. Bryant, as well as the conversation that she had with Nick Cannon. But what really stood out to me was, well, what she said about women.
Obviously, with my research, you spoke about low-functioning individuals, male and female. What's the percentage of males or females that you counsel that are low-functioning?
I would say that there are 70% low-functioning women, 40% low-functioning men.
What? And I want to talk about why 70%, she said 70% of women that she has encountered are not high functioning. They're low functioning. And obviously, these are women who are out there seeking help. And I think a lot of women who go out and seek help actually are coming from this low functioning thing. So I want to talk about why that is. Why are there so many more low functioning women, regardless of the value they might have financially, existing in this world, as opposed to low functioning men? Guys, subscribe to my channel and let's have a little chat.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but if tacos can fall apart and still be amazing, so can you, puta. So can you.
Okay, first I want to confess. I have to confess this. I didn't know who Cam Newton was. I had no clue. I think maybe I had heard his name before, but outside of assuming that he was just some dude, maybe he was a rapper, maybe he was a football, like whatever. I didn't care to actually find out. But anyway, the interview, the breakdowns and people talking about his attitude, I think have all covered the spectrum of what's wrong with these men, how they don't listen. And a lot of women can recognize that in their own relationships and dealing with men like this, and seeing men like this is very, very common for most of us. And for me, I found him obnoxious simply because he thought he was so clever when he wasn't, you know, and he had a general inability to listen and a general inability to actually have any sort of discernment. And it's scary to think that the bar is so low for men to become fathers. When we start talking about low functioning, high functioning, and basically it comes down to a level of emotional maturity for everyone across the board. That, at least that's what I've always called it, the way she described, you know, being triggered, but also being able to rationalize to yourself how to communicate what you're feeling in a way that your partner can receive it. I always call that emotional maturity. But high functioning makes a lot of sense. And the thing is, when she said that 70% of the women that she sees that come to her for help are low functioning. And you're like, why is it 40% of men, 70% of women low functioning? And a lot of people, and I'm sure women, would have thought that more men would be low functioning, that more women had the emotional maturity, that more women had the independence and the lack of codependence. And it's not true. And part of the reason I think that is because women are socialized and almost bred to be low functioning. We're bred to be codependent. We're bred to be people who look to someone else for guidance and not ourselves. And this is why so many women who are male centered, and most women are, we have been bred to be that way. So if you don't do the work of centering men for your life, like, you're never going to be able to function at your own highest level. You're always going to be low functioning. And to me, like, those men that she was talking to, those men that are so reflective of what a lot of women's experiences are with men, like telling them, no, I don't want to date men with children. Like, she said that very clearly. She talked about what that looked like. And then he went on this circular conversation with her that was so frustrating to just watch.
So your non-negotiable is a person who does not have children.
My non-negotiable is a person with kids, but yes, I get how you're saying it, yes.
So you cannot date a person. You cannot be with a
I
person.
can, but I'm choosing not to.
So
I can be with anyone, but I'm choosing not to.
You're
I gotta correct it. It's my narrative, Cam.
You're
I
like
can,
jumping in,
I
jumping out. It's either
can. No, it's not I can't. There's no such thing. I can date whoever I want. I am definitely well equipped to do so.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna allow that word to be something that fits what I can't do. I'm well equipped to date anybody.
Yes.
My preference,
Yes.
because there's nothing wrong with a lot of men who have kids, so I don't wanna put that narrative out there.
Yes.
My personal preference is I would not choose to date a man with kids.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're dating a man with kids. Just a scenario.
Oh, okay, got it. Yes.
You're dating a man with kids,
Yes.
but you're going to be with a broken man.
No, I won't. I just said I wouldn't be with a man. I wouldn't be with a broken man who has multiple kids. I will take
No, not multiple. I'm
well,
talking
a kid. It doesn't matter.
So you're
I don't
not
wanna-
going to date a man with children.
No, but let me clear this up because you said I won't date a broken man. That's not what I said.
No, I said, are you, listen to what I'm saying.
I heard you.
Doc.
Let me answer it. Hold on. We all have a level of brokenness. So will I date a broken man? Yes. Am I going to date a certain type of brokenness? No.
Of course you're not.
And that type of brokenness is a man who has kids outside of me isn't something that's conducive for what I want forever.
But will you date him?
No.
So that goes to my point. I'm trying to ask a question. You have two different men right here. One man who has.
I will not date a man with kids.
Okay, that's all I'm asking.
Yes.
She is high functioning, right? Like she had the patience in order to continue this circular conversation with him where he was trying to trip her up and she couldn't be tripped up. Like it was so sick to watch because like you knew these little games that they played. Like we've all experienced men like this. And to be able to have that conversation with him in the way that she did proved her high functioning self versus his low functioning self. And a lot of women, when we get in these situations with men where they're trying to trick us up or they're having conversations and, you know, we're second guessing ourselves. We're like, well, I mean, I can make an exception if, you know, like, okay, like maybe I don't want to date guys with children, but if he was a good dad, it was her fault that they broke up, they'll rationalize to make themselves sound more open, different. And that's not high functioning because what you're doing is trying to center someone else and make yourself, well, you know what? I still do want a relationship. And if he was a really good guy and there's all kinds of ways that women start to do that. And those are signs of low functioning, whereas most of us would be like, oh, she's being compromised. She's compromising, right? She's just trying to be, you know, a flex. She doesn't want to be a hard ass. She doesn't want, you know, to be like a bitch or whatever. And so many of us do that. And what it is not doing is being interdependent on ourselves and accepting that, you know what, if he was meant for me, he would follow the things that I want to have in my life. I wouldn't have to compromise my desires or my limits, my boundaries for a man. He shouldn't want me to do that either. So I think that when we start looking at why there are so many more low functioning women, when we start to see how we have been taught to always acquiesce a little bit or what we want. And we hear, and he even was like, you're 41, you're unmarried, you don't have kids. Like, do women want too much? Are your expectations too high?
So you can get a bus driver and a janitor a shot.
If the janitor owns a janitorial company.
Oh, see, now he got to own the whole damn company.
But this
he
is the
can't
thing.
even be a good
Let me
janitor.
say this. It doesn't matter how much more I make than him. If he can provide for us and provide a quality of life for us,
But
I don't care.
You the one that's doing that.
For myself. When you say daddy's home, that means more than just your home and your present.
So now you just narrowed your circle so much smaller because now you got to have a high functioning, high value.
Yes.
Like,
and let me tell you something though.
Rich ass man.
Or at least
Can he be a younger man?
He may have to because I want a man with no kids because I want my own family.
You want a man with no kids?
So go on down,
This
Nick.
nigga ain't out there. You looking for Jesus.
I think that when you are high functioning, your boundaries don't feel like burdens to you. And they don't feel like the reasons why you are not going to get everything you want in this life. And the thing is, she has so much. She's successful. She has her platform and she's taking her time. And this was another one that he tried to like twist, right? When he was saying this about divorce.
My desire to get married is lower than my fear of divorce.
He say, and this is a common thing, you know, with men, especially men who have a little bit of something, they're like, well, my fear, and like, he's so like obnoxious with even how he's talking about it. Cause in his head, he's like validating himself. He's like, oh, I got this. Oh, she's not gonna be able, like, you can see it in his face. It's so gross, right? He's like, you know, my desire to marry is, what did he say? Is lower than my fear of divorce, right? Like, he did his whole thing in his face. You see his face? Like, it's so like, are you 12? Like, maybe 14 years old, right? Like that, like just the look on his face was so obnoxious. But I think when we have set our boundaries and our boundaries make us comfortable and we are interdependent in our emotional state, that is the difference. Like, and I love that how she did that. And that takes time. She admitted she had healing to do from her personal like life and growing up. She didn't have necessarily the best childhood. She didn't necessarily like grow up in this idealistic thing that gave her the ability to do that. Most of us can relate to not having that sort of like that family life to say, well, I can choose better because of my circumstances. And she was smart enough, at least, not to have proof of any bad decisions she had made in the past. That looks different for everybody. And I think that right now, we as women are really just starting to come into some of that idea that our mistakes shouldn't define the rest of our life. Our choices in the past don't have to define our future. And I think a lot of us are just now realizing that is a little step in becoming interreliant on ourselves, decentering men as a whole, and letting ourselves really live this life for ourselves. And all of the things that we want when we have those boundaries will eventually show up for us. And if they don't, who cares? You had the life that you wanted and you did that. You didn't compromise that one little thing that was going to make your life even more miserable for the future. Like, a lot of women who are having children in these relationships with men that leave and blah, 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 they didn't want that baby. They thought that this was just like a part. They didn't take control. They centered him. And that's why a lot of children grow up in these situations where they lack. Not because they lack a father, but they lacked a mother who was loved. And she lacked that in herself. Most women end up in worse situations than they were to begin with, even when they have rich men, even when they just have men who are out here like willing to, you know what, he has his YouTube hustle and he's going to make his money and he's going to be able to pay for his children. That is the threshold that we give men for fathers as women. Nick Cannon, we saw him too, and he admitted what?
And at times, have I been manipulative and prey on certain things just because I'm a man?
Right.
And
but not all men do that. We don't want to blanket all men.
That he's a liar. With all of his money, with all of the things that he can accomplish or whatever, he's got a name and blah, blah, blah. He's still a liar to women. He admitted, he'll be whoever you want me to be. He's an actor. Acting, right? He'll be whoever you want him to be. And that is not just derivative of him. So many men have done that. And we've been telling men that all the time when they're like, make better choices. He lied. He said he was going to do something. And the reason that these low functioning women, and yes, they are beautiful, that doesn't mean that they're not low functioning, but the reason that so many women, especially pretty women, beautiful women, can be far more low functioning is because they believe their beauty has made a difference and that they're prettier than that other girl. So therefore, he's going to do better. Because, like, that is it. And that's why beauty can make women even worse in their functionality. So, like some women, that's all that they ever thought that they were. They could be so many other things, but a lot of women who are very beautiful, that's all that they thought they were. And a lot of times, we could get into colorism and all of that, and how lighter skinned women in many instances think that they're the chosen ones, right? They think they're going to get the better treatment. I'm light skinned, I'm pretty, I'm blah, 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 blah. And that's what they function on. And that's pretty fucking low. So I think that when we talk about these things, right? These men, these women who are like, well, that's my profession now. I have babies. I make, I make exoticals for famous men. That is what some women have decided their profession is. And that is relatively low functioning because you are bringing people into this world and you are not taking that seriously. So, guys, and I'm not saying they don't love their kids and all of that, but they are not, like she said, you cannot be in 10 different homes at one. You cannot be there for your children, even if you can send nannies and this and that and the other. Are you willing to get your baby mama a baby a stand-in dad? Pay a stand-in dad for each of your households. That could be a business, y'all. A stand-in dad that gets paid every month to come in and basically do the job that you can't do, but you can pay. You can pay. Why even show up? Just pay for that. It's all men and women who have limited themselves in some way, emotionally, mentally, and they've accepted those limitations and they're not paying attention to how those limitations are going to affect the future that they are making with children. If 70% of the women that she's seeing are low functioning, they're at least seeking help. And I think the rest of us need to start recognizing what it is in ourselves that are still censoring men and not allowing us to be as high functioning as we can be for ourselves. And yeah, guys, subscribe to my channel. I look forward to talking to you in the comments. But ciao for now.